And we're live, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Yes? Maybe? So, all right, Suris, welcome to Hammered Out, everybody. It's super, it's Hammered Out. That's what we're doing. That's the show right now, right?
Ready.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Definitely Hammered Out.
Definitely.
We're absolutely on Suris's channel right now. That's what's going on. Welcome to Omnipotent Beard. Wolf, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. My birthday's tomorrow.
Your birthday is tomorrow.
I'm
fucking
Why
birthday.
would you do that?
I know, right? Why would I survive?
That's not what I
Clearly you had other options, but instead you're doing a birthday. Like
right instead. So
hopefully there's not a gender reveal party that burns down an entire state.
that's not my plan. But
Why?
you never know. You never know. So I'm wearing my birthday hoodie. My wife got me. It's a dedication to Tyr. It's got Norse shit all over it and a giant god mask to Tyr. So loving the
it's on the
hoodie.
back, right? The
Yeah.
giant mat. Can you show that to us? Is that possible?
Green screen would probably mess it up, but
Let's try.
I mean, fuck it, why not, right? What are we doing? What else are we gonna do?
We have a show to do, but that's beside the point.
I can just sit here and wiggle my ears while we wait.
Yeah. You're wiggling. All right. No, wait. I think the green screen is allowing us to do it. Kind of. Yes. That is badass as fuck. All right. We got Happy Birthday Wolf coming in from Akita Hakubi.
Why does your green screen remind me of like low budget TikToks?
Because it's using just the Zoom screen. Like it's
okay.
just using it digitally. I don't actually have a green screen behind me.
There's no actual green there.
Right. It's just doing all the work on its own.
This is how you green screen.
Yes. You are a pro green screener.
Yeah. Not like this.
Super pro. So we have a couple of super chats already in. Ocean is the king of edging and Suris is playing with vibrators. Yes, that was what was going on before. Suris, what was that noise?
A gun.
His guns.
Okay.
His Nerf guns he's been working on. He installed some badass motors.
And
You been keeping up with Suris's Nerf gun mod? Man, I'm all over it. I've been watching.
I've seen them in person.
I mean,
these guns
fair.
are crazy that he's got over there. Actually, he's been doing all kinds of stuff over there. And please put it down. Also, we just got a couple of crazy super chats. Got let's see, $10 super chat saying, "Hail Ocean, hail Suris, hail Wolf. Three great flavors that taste great together." Uwu. Looking forward to seeing this. I hope you sacrifice enough RAM sticks this time. We already had to delay. I'm gonna blame tech. Akita Hakubi says happy birthday, Wolf, and then we have Fishy Lawn Gnome comes in with a $100 super chat. Holy shit! To hail the omnipotent beard, the little hammer. Fuck yeah!
You.
Yeah.
Hail to you, my
Fishy
dude.
Lawn Gnome.
Jesus,
That is a big number.
that is a large number, in fact. So there was a reason why we decided to hold this stream. I'm sure that if we wanted to do a Ocean, Suris, and Wolf just chillin' stream, we could pull that off for about 7 hours. But
Ocean, you want to talk about the Pokemon card game on the Game Boy Advance or on the original Game Boy?
Yes.
We could do that for a while.
oh my god,
That's my favorite. No, I've got it. It's right over there. I can go pick it up.
I just beat it for the first time like 2 months ago.
Oh my god. That's
no.
my entire childhood, Suris.
All right.
My entire childhood. All 223 cards. My childhood.
Because there's only 3 sets in it, but yeah.
I know.
Chat, please burn RAM for me. I'm on stream with these two.
Ocean, get out of here, man. Go get a drink or something. Me and Suris
I'll
have
see you
stuff to
guys
talk
later.
about.
I'm out. Bye.
I'm so happy right now.
Not gonna lie, the last battle in that game was way easier than I thought it would be, but I was just playing a fucking Gyarados deck, so it was fine.
That game is so much fun.
All right, but we do need to like seriously discuss a children's card game today.
Oh, right, we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! I forgot.
Close.
Close, but no cigar.
I have handed Ocean Norse Yu-Gi-Oh cards before.
Yes, you have. Like, what? Good lord, there's like Norse inspiration all over a lot of these games. Is there Norse stuff in Weiss? Or
So technically speaking, there are Weiss sets that are based off of animes like Fate.
okay,
And Fate does take stuff from like Arthurian legend, Norse legend, because the whole thing with Fate is that like people summon entities that embody these different time periods. So like Saber is King Arthur and so on and so forth.
so you get a little bit of Norse stuff in the middle of all of that.
Yeah. So like technically by proxy, yes, it's in Weiss only because some of the anime that Weiss has taken into itself has Nordic inspiration. So I'm still upset that the Star Wars set for Weiss is not legal in the United States.
So
I wish that.
I want to ask you a little bit about, because like, you know, we're talking about Magic the Gathering. There's Norse stuff in there. We know that, and there's like several people have sent me messages saying, "Hey, you should look at it" and stuff like that. But I was like, I need to bring on Suris for this.
Yeah, people have messaged us several times.
Right, and saying it's like, you need to cover this. You need to talk about it. Okay, fine. But I know a guy. Suris, tell me a little bit about your expertise in Magic and the reason why I called you.
So while I'm not a Magic expert, I am. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because my wallet screams at this, but one of my favorite hobbies is card games. We've mentioned 4 card games already on here, and that is still not as many as I engage in. I do Pokemon, I do Magic, I do Yu-Gi-Oh, I do Weiss, I do Legends of Runeterra.
If it involves flat pieces of paper, you are into it.
Basically, like I'm when I have enough money, I want to get into the Digimon card game as well, since that just came out. Yes, I did say just came out. We just got a relaunch of the set like 2 months ago.
Right.
And like, so card games are kind of my thing. I used to do them very competitively. Now I do them more casually because I'm not just doing them when I, finish all of my schoolwork and I go to the shop on Saturdays. That's not really a thing I have time for anymore. So now I play more casually. But what I used to do is I used to do traveling to regional events. I used to do, for Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, I would go to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series. I actually had the unfortunate happenstance of having my first opponent the last time I went to the Championship Series be Patrick Hoban, who is one of the national champions in America, which really sucked. I'm like, oh, this is who your parent of 1,300 people who you could have paired me against in this tournament. You chose the last year's national champion. That's who I'm fighting. Okay, thanks, Kanani. But yeah, card games are kind of my thing. I don't do any content related about them right now, though. Oddly enough, the avatar that you see right now is based off of fan art that is based off of an avatar that is based off of a card game because it was Thrall.
Hearthstone. Your original avatar was based off of Thrall from Warcraft 3, right?
Yeah,
like back in the day, but it's inspired by Hearthstone.
Yeah, the design of him that exists in Hearthstone that is inspired by World of Warcraft Cataclysm. So like card games are, while they're not a thing that I do on my channel, my history with them is baked into the DNA of my channel.
You started out like your initial venture into YouTube was something related to Hearthstone, right? You were going to be like a Hearthstone game reviewer or something, or that was at least a step you were taking at some point.
That was a step. My first channel was a gaming channel where I just did like reviews of Wii games because I grew up in the like heated console war environment where everybody said that the Wii is a trash console and it's stupid and it only has kiddie games, and so I was like, I was too poor to afford anything besides a Wii, so that influenced me to be like, okay, I'm gonna defend it on YouTube. That channel didn't really go anywhere, but eventually I did, make a Hearthstone channel called Top Tier Scrubs, and then
that's a good name.
I commissioned a avatar, not for use on the channel as an avatar because I hadn't even discovered that format of YouTube yet. I commissioned it just because I wanted top 10 slides, and the avatar looked good for a top 10 slide. And I was like, this looks good for this. I'll use this.
And then it became your YouTube personality, your persona.
And then I adapted it completely into my YouTube persona. And then, of course...
And then it grew cat ears and boobs.
People drew boobs on it.
Versions of fan art that you've received.
I mean, what else are you gonna do though? Like, come on, let's be real here.
So let's see what is going. Like, all right, we had a super chat that I'm curious about. Raven Drone said, "Here's some money I may or may not have raided from the Mormons in my neighborhood. I have questions.
No,
I'm not going to ask them right now, but I do have questions.
I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm just going to let you know I support it."
Excellent. So we have a set of cards that we can go through, Suris. Which one do we want to start with? Or Wolf, did you have a preference or anything like that? Because there's a lot of interesting ones here.
Let's start with squirrels.
Yeah, I want to start with squirrel as well.
Yeah, all right. So I have this screen over here, which shoves us all over to the side, and there's just enough room over here to put a squirrel. And what's the name of that one? It's Toska, right?
It's Toshki Bearer of Secrets.
Yeah, there it is.
But the squirrel that it's based off of is, and I'm going to say this incorrectly, Ratatoskr in Norse mythology, a squirrel that climbs the world tree. But I don't. That word translates into like drill borer or teeth borer, like it bores into the tree. That's kind of its thing,
right?
And I did a very, very brief bit of research before the stream to make sure that I wouldn't be like, here's this card and how it works in the card game. You educate me, please.
I mean, that's fine. But like, I actually didn't know that about Ratatosk. I know the place that Ratatosk has in the lore. I didn't know what the name meant necessarily. Like,
it's Old Norse for like drill borer.
That's interesting. So the story of Ratatosk, he's referenced a few times, but he just runs back and forth between Nidhogg and the eagle at the top of the tree that's unnamed, carrying insults back and forth.
Yeah. Fishy says it's the squirrel that fuels an eternal pissing contest.
Here's my personal theory about Ratatosk, is that the eagle and the dragon are trying to make amends with one another.
Oh no.
And Ratatosk has like really bad ADHD. Like he's just like very lost. And so he gets the message and he's like repeating it to himself on the way and he keeps like fucking it up. And he comes back and delivers like something that's completely not the same thing. Absolute
Plays
insult.
Telephone game with his own ADHD.
Yeah, exactly. He just gets up there and just like completely misinterprets the message and they get really angry. And the eagle's like, all right, well, what if I say this really nice thing to him, and gives it back to Ratatosk. Ratatosk runs down and gives like the most scathing insult possible to the dragon. So, that's what's going on. That's my thought.
Imagine that friend of yours that you actually really, really hate. Now imagine them trying to make you like them. That's what's actually
I think Ratatosk is like entirely genuine about it and trying his best.
So I do find a lot of that story actually bakes into the mechanics of the card. So the card can't be countered and it's indestructible. Literally, that is a mechanical way of saying don't shoot the messenger.
That's funny.
It is the bearer of secrets. It attacks each combat if able. Its entire existence is constantly sending those messages. And when it successfully does so, you get to draw a card. It's literally a message from your deck. Like that story is literally baked into the mechanics of the card.
Let's see.
You're really good at this, Suris. You related the mythology to the card perfectly.
Wait, what are we here for? Fuck it.
Right. I'm gonna go grab something to eat.
All right, Suris is on autopilot.
Better than us.
Bye.
We'll be back.
But let's see. Whatever creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So he's okay. Bearer of Secrets attacks. So he attacks all the time. Sits there, can't be killed. Does a little bit of damage, and
he's constantly giving you messages.
That's amazing.
From the deck. Yeah.
That's hilariously funny.
Like the design of that is actually very, very apropos considering what they're basing it off of.
Let's see, people are saying in the chat, my headcanon is now collectivized. This is now mine as well. Are you talking about my ADD idea of of Ratatosk? Yep. Let's see. Reminds me of a video. We have a super chat from Justin Somerville. It says, reminds me of a video of the raven messaging with two cats until they start fighting. And then the raven just sits there watching.
Messing with two cats, buddy.
Oh, messing with two cats. I don't know what words are. I can't read. This is why I have Calcifer.
The raven wasn't messing on the cats.
Messing on them? Messing in them? Messing near
with
them?
Two cats.
Messing with them? verbs.
Is this PG or like how? Like I'm
I don't know.
Scared now. Okay.
I have no idea.
Oh, so the squirrel is basically Twitter.
A squirrel is basically Twitter. Cat had it coming. Okay. Raven Drone is just knocking it down today. So I guess we should move on to the next card. What else are we thinking?
I mean, we could put them through in the order that I threw them in, if that's like the easiest way.
The easiest way for me is going to be to go through them in the order that I have them in this folder, which is going to be something related to possibly being alphabetical, but not. So,
well, real quick before we move away,
yeah,
what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable squirrel?
Well,
what?
I would answer, but the answer is boring.
They would pass right through each other.
What's the answer? I don't even know.
It's the philosophical joke, man.
I don't know.
That's
but
why
the answer is that they would pass through each other.
Are we going to get...
that's why I said the answer is boring, because it's the boring squirrel.
I hate all of
joke.
you.
Oh my god, you guys are the worst.
And it's philosophy, and the philosophy is boring.
Going to just move that out of the way and replace it with new card.
Well, we're starting a squirrel cult, and you guys can just have fun over there.
So we have a card called the Invasion of the Giants, which I read, and I don't know what exactly is all the facts are in this one or how it works. So tell us how it works.
So this type of card is called a Saga card. They're a card that we got back in I believe, is it Theridrain? No, not Third. What, I don't remember what the set is called. We have a set based on Greek mythos as well.
Thoros or something like that, or something.
Yes, Theros.
Theros.
Yeah.
Somebody messaged me about that right before the stream, actually. So
that's where we got these Saga cards from. And the Saga cards, the way that they're designed is they try to tell a story and a progression of events in their three things that happen during the card. Also, the way that they designed the pictures for the cards, instead of showing an event in real time the same way that because like most Magic the Gathering cards, when you look at it, it shows the character doing something or like an event happening,
right,
or a weapon. If you look at any of these Saga cards, though, that's not the way they are. They look like old artwork that you would find in a museum depicting those events.
No, I've noticed that with a few of them, and I have them all in a row here. Where the art on them is actually really cool. Like this looks like a bracer that is has some events going on it. Is that like runes at the top and bottom there that I'm looking at? No, there's some knot work that looks like kind of a mixture between Norse and Celt in the knot work, which is really neat. But what are these, like, I guess those are three giants in the centerpiece there. What's going on here?
So what's happening here, and the first effect is Scrying 2, which lets you look at the top cards of your deck and see what order you want to put them back in. The next one is Drawing a Card, which then if you have a giant in your hand already, it gets to deal 2 damage. And the final one is then a giant can come out and costing 2 less. If you know anything about Magic the Gathering and how giants work, giants and dragons specifically always cost a lot of mana. It's just kind of baked into their design. So functionally what's happening here, you can imagine Scrying 2 as you're seeing the giants off in the distance. The drawing a card and dealing 2 damage to something is basically like a giant being able to throw a boulder at you. Like they're not here yet, but they're hitting you from afar. And then the final thing that happens in the saga is the giants are here. The giants are here. They are here now. And in this set, there are fire giants, water giants, and frost giants, which of course
there's fire giants, frost giants, and what else?
Water giants. Like they're giants that exist under like the story on one of them. I should have gotten a picture of it. But it's a Nordic village in that area, and they're mentioning that like they're not able to get any fish because the waters are being disturbed, and it's because they're about to be invaded by giants, but the giants are coming underwater, and that's what's scaring all the fish away.
So there's interesting, because that would actually be there's some consistencies but also some inconsistencies with that and the Norse understanding. So when there's the fire giants and frost giants. There's Jotunheim is considered kind of like a frost giant sort of area, and then Niflheim as well is considered an icy area where there's ice giants there. So Jotun and ice giant, the words get kind of crisscrossed with each other. And then Jotun also gets put onto fire giants, but they're also fire giants in Muspelheim, which is the fire area ruled over by Surt. And so you have fire giants from there, and they're all very associated with Ragnarok and then also the dawn of the universe and the major places that they're mentioned. As far as water giants, though, we do have Aegir or Aegir, or there's a number of ways to pronounce it. That is a water Jotun. But there's not really a collection of water Jotun. There are Aegir's daughters, where he has 9 daughters that are associated with the waves of the sea. But are the water giants presented as feminine in the magic mythos in order to reference the daughters of Aegir, or is that...
All the giants that now granted, this is off of me like briefly looking at the cards in play, not like staring at the artwork for long enough to tell, but most of the giants that I've seen in Kaldheim appear to have very masculine traits.
Right.
Though, oddly enough, there actually are non-binary characters in Kaldheim as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you have Aegir, Ron, and then the daughters, which are apparently also the 9 mothers of Heimdall as well in the Norse mythology setup. So, there's a lot of really interesting legends as well about Aegir's daughters that I was thinking about including in the Aegir video, but it also was going to make it into this very like giant thing that went into all kinds of different directions. So I was like, this needs its own thing. But there's stories that show up in Celtic mythos and continental Germanic mythos about these sea daughters that are kidnapping people and keeping them under the water, or there's ships that come out of a storm, and there's the daughters of the ocean are like clinging to the bottom of the boats as well. And anyway, there's a lot of like really interesting little stories in there about that. So that's the closest that it gets to water giants of some kind. They're heavily associated with the ocean, but there's not like an Oceanheim.
No. And you would think that there would be.
Yeah, you'd think so, but there isn't. There's not a water realm. There's a frost realm.
That's like always kind of taken me by surprise is that there's no
water
realm for the water for these traders and fishers who spend so much time at sea.
But there is Aegir that at the bottom of the ocean, and Ron and the daughters, but it's not seen as, and there's also like sea monsters and that kind of thing, like Jormungandr.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of neat that they've divided the giants up that way, though. But this one takes water and fire to use.
Yeah, because it's frost. There's not a
frost one. How's frost done?
In Magic, the way that frost is done is all lands have their standard land and then their snow land, not counting like other variations of land that every set always has like 10 different kinds of lands in it besides like the standard ones. But in this set specifically, as well as only 2 others in the history of the game, we have what are called snow lands. And there are certain cards like they're ice trolls, ice giants, and any ice card, the card will be almost covered in snow, like it aesthetically. And its effects will be based on how much snow land you actually have. So how much frigid land it's operating in. So snow lands are a specific mechanic, and ice giants in here operate using snow land specifically. But there is only one giant I can think of that is an underwater giant that does not have a snow association in there.
Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Doink. And we have another Saga card called the Battle for Bretgard. Or Bretagard? And it also has some really interesting art on it. Like, again, it's keeping in tone with what you talked about earlier of having like old style art on it. And looks really inspired by Old Norse art, actually. It's more, it kind of leans into a medieval look as well. So there's different ages in Viking art that I can't recall the names to off the top of my head right now, but this looks more in keeping with the later periods and then getting into the Middle Ages after the Viking period. People are asking if I play Magic the Gathering. Not really. I've played like maybe 3 or 4 full games of Magic the Gathering.
You'd think at the times you've come to my house, we would have played more card games.
Right, that's true. I played Weiss with Suris a couple of times. And I've played a couple of other card games I was really big into Pokemon for a little while, but I didn't get into Magic so much, which is, that of all the things that like 90s moms were really concerned about, this one didn't come up for me, and I still became pagan. So,
right.
History though is a gateway drug to paganism. But I guess tell us a little bit about this, Suris.
So Battle for Bretengard, the very first thing we have here is creating a 1/1 white human warrior token, and then the next thing that happens in the progression is creating a 1/1 green elf warrior token. So what we have here is a battle that's about to start, and we have the armies of the humans coming first, and then the armies of the elves come to assist at a later point. And then the last thing that we have is choose any number of artifact tokens or creatures you control with different names. For each of them, create a copy of it. So this is literally just picturing the aftermath of a battle, but the card itself is creating the forces for a battle. The first thing that happens is humans come. The second thing that happens is elves come. And then the last effect bolsters however many of these human and elf tokens you've been able to amass at this point. So you're doubling the forces that you have there. This is literally preparation for battle.
This could be based on some Celtic legends, but I'm not familiar with a Norse one that is this explicit of like battles between humans and elves or anything like that.
Well, so the elves and the humans are not fighting each other.
Oh, okay.
They are. So if you look at the artwork for the card, we have what looks to be undead forces coming from the north. And then we have almost like demonic fiery forces coming from the south. But the humans and the elves are in the middle. They are protecting a stronghold here. And in the set of Kaldheim, a lot of your undead units are black and blue, whereas all of your humans and elves generally are green and white. So these are colors that are going up against each other within this set.
Okay.
And then obviously the stuff in the bottom is would be fiery, that would be red. So this is green and white versus all of the other colors that are represented in Kaldheim in the artwork.
With the exception of water, I guess.
No, blue is as well. So in Kaldheim, the undead are represented by both blue and black.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. So
because a lot of them are undead like frost enemies.
With that kind of brings an interesting. There is a point in one of the sagas where a bunch of undead attack a fortress, and they're led by a necromancer. It's at the end of the saga of Hrolfkraki, and it's cool as fuck. The saga writer winds up lecturing Hrolfkraki, though, saying that the battle would have done better if he had been a Christian, and is just shaming him for not accepting Christ. Right. Even though it was before that area had heard about Christ. He was like, and he was also saying that Hrolfkraki was an atheist as well.
I also found the underwater giant.
Oh, I guess, yeah, shoot it over to me we'll go right into that just because I want to see that now. While we're looking at that, yeah, super chats if you want to cover them.
Yeah, Forrest says, sorry I missed the start, but here I am. Shout out to Forrest. But, sir, so I was going to ask you a question. Who makes the art for these cards? Are they all the same artist?
No,
they're like it would be.
Well, so one, no, they're not all the same artist. And two, if you look at any of the cards that are that I've linked, in the bottom of the card, it actually tells you the artist behind each one.
So the Igor Kirov, I can barely see that. That would be who the artist was, bottom left-hand corner.
Yes, that would be every artist is credited in the bottom left corner of every card.
That's awesome that they do that, and really helpful. I'm going to be looking into that because that guy definitely nailed the Norse,
he did.
Norse
Yeah.
aesthetic.
I
So
think-
I'm like very interested.
Are you looking into it for reasons?
Yeah, I want to.
Commissioning reasons.
Tattoo reasons. It's like,
Yeah, that-
like you know
that
what I
would be-
mean? Like there's
that
like
would
all
also
kinds
be
of stuff that
commissioning
you could
reasons.
do. Say what?
So that would also be commissioning reasons.
Yeah, commissioning reasons.
Yep, commissioning reasons.
Commissioning reasons. Because all right, so we have on the screen Undersea Invader.
Yeah, just because I noticed that when we were talking about the giants before, I wanted to go ahead and make sure that I opened up Magic Arena, found the card in my collection, and dropped it in here because we'd already mentioned the giant there. The flavor text that is there for the giant here. Let me see if I can grab it real quick because
Flavor text.
yes. So flavor text is the thing that contextualizes what this card is doing within the story of the set, because every set contains
Yeah,
a
it doesn't
story.
have the italicized. Is that what you're talking about? Is it?
Yeah. Well,
This
the
one
reason it
doesn't
doesn't. Well, it has it. The reason it doesn't have it on the picture that I showed is this is a screenshot from Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the
okay.
online
They
game.
just bump
So
that
what they do
interesting
is
stuff away.
Well, that stuff is there when you hover over the card. It
Oh,
shows
okay.
it.
Gotcha.
So here it says, the currents are strange today, and the fish are fearful. Something's stirring in the depths, from Rostov, a Kana fisherman. So like I had mentioned before, this is the reason they know that this giant is approaching is they are a fishing village, and their village is not going to be getting food for a little bit because the giants are literally scaring all the fish away in their approach there. You can actually see also in the artwork.
He's got a big ass sword, my dude, and there's a sunken ship behind him.
Yeah, there's a sunken ship behind him. There's there's almost an inclination there that one of these giants like this might have even been responsible for sinking a ship like that.
And
you can kind of see that there's wrecked wood in front of him as well, like he's walking through a shipwreckage right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like there's an area that he has like dominion over. Don't sail over this shit or I'll fuck you up.
And you can see the surface of the water above him because of the angle. You can see where the water gets a little more shallow.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not inconceivable that a giant under there could take that giant ass sword and just poke holes in the bottom of your wooden raft.
Right.
Yep.
I mentioned, so like sea deities are usually seem to be depicted with spears. So it's interesting that they gave him like this big ass sword. And also there is like the fact that there's shipwrecks around him. The sea was usually called, or the thing that would take ships underwater were called the jaws of Aegir. So like he would bite the ships down,
bite them and pull them underneath.
Right. So this is neat. I like the changes they're doing. I don't want things to be exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're
boring.
departing and doing all sorts of fun and interesting things with it. But there's some differences where I'm like, I wonder what inspired that choice. I love the designs on his sword. Like, I think that's cool as shit.
So we also have, if you want an example of a frost giant, I have just linked one of those in here.
Yeah, go ahead and send it
as
to me.
well. There's a lot of the artwork for the frost giants in here depict them controlling.
Is it the
wind.
giant wizard?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The Sirtland Elementalist.
Let me grab that. And then we'll put that on screen. And I'll kill... Wait a minute. Kill this guy.
And unfortunately, he actually does not... this guy actually does not have flavor text to contextualize him, so that's kind of sad.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Where did this guy go? Okay, now... I'm failing at managing this stuff right now. All right, so we have the Sirtland Elementalist, and let's enlarge him to what we can to see the way this guy looks. That's really neat. So, yeah, if frost giants appear like every once in a while in the sagas and stuff, or in the Eddic poetry, but they're not hugely focused on. Ymir is hugely focused on, but there's not a lot of explicitly ice giants. There's a lot of Jotun,
right?
Like Thjazi and stuff like that. And maybe since Thjazi is the father of Skadi, you might be able to
Right.
say that Thjazi was an ice
Skadi.
giant.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
Personally.
But like, there's it's usually Jotun. Like Utgard Loki is Jotun and has like a company of Jotun, like
Right.
Logi and Ellie, I think her name is. This is Old Age, and there's a bunch of others in there. But yeah, Ymir is probably like the main source of inspiration for them as ice giants. And how does this guy work?
So, as an additional cost, you can reveal a giant in your hand or you can pay 2. So, whenever you play this card, it costs 7 mana, but technically it costs 9 mana unless you've got a giant in your hand to show your opponent. Whenever he attacks, you can cast any instant or sorcery from your hand without paying its mana cost. So, basically, as this is a giant that in the picture is being depicted summoning storms, his ability is that when you attack, you can metaphorically hit your opponent with storms. You're hitting them with spells from your hand, but you're not having to pay the mana cost because he himself is paying that by just being your giant wizard there. He's compared to some of the other stuff that we have in here, he's honestly really basic. It's just here's a nice giant hurling thunderbolts, basically.
Right, exactly. It's just like big boom. And it's like 8/8 down there. So that's really where his power is, right? As a creature. It's like he's a heavy hitter too.
Oh yeah. Well, that's saying that a giant is a heavy hitter is kind of
like he should be, right? Like or the other one, I guess, that we have. This guy is 5'6". Like
he's big too.
He's not
like
there's
only one small giant in the entire mix, and that's Frostfire Arcanist. He's still 2'5". Like he's still got a booty.
Right.
He just doesn't have a big stick to swing.
Who needs a big stick when you got a big booty?
So we have a few super chats that have been coming in. Let's see. Akaju J Malice is super chatted. Suris, you've exhausted Ocean with your puns. How? And Raven Drone says the giants are coming. The giants are coming. One if by ship, 2 if by Bifrost.
We actually have the Bifrost in here too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We're going to be going into that one. Let's see. Forrest Athy says, sorry if I missed the start, but here I am. And Akita, Pagan Pirate had a super chat. Looks like retracted the message though. Sad day, Pagan Pirate. Akita Hakubi has said, so the giant put a stop to us shipping Ocean and Suris.
Because he sunk the ships.
So there have been so many things shipping the two of us. It's been a little awkward.
It's even more awkward. You consider that this man has actually spent the night at my house, and I've cooked for him.
Yes, it's true. It's true. I admit it.
So what does that mean that Ocean has let me stay at his house a long time, got me drunk at his house, and then cooked me a bunch of food?
It just means that Ocean did to you what I did to Ocean. He put his meat in your mouth.
Wait a minute.
Nice.
Wait a minute.
It was very chewy.
I'm going to ignore all of this, and we're going to look at this new card called the Binding the Old Gods. That's what it says. It's binding the old. So what is going on here? I love the art on this one. This is fucking cool.
Cycle to the card itself. So one.
It says
this one was my favorite one.
Yeah, I love this.
So what's being shown in this definitely looks to be smaller. What could probably be mortals, basically entangling a god with it. I would assume being entangled in the world tree or being entangled in a tree of power of some kind, but I am less familiar with how many of those potentially exist within this lore, both in Old Norse lore and in Magic's adaptation of it. But the first thing that's happening is destroying target non-land, permanent, and opponent controls. It goes without saying. The second thing is searching your library for a card. So almost destroying something immediately that the old god may have had. and then searching for something to prepare yourself. And then the last thing is creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Death Touch as a mechanic in Magic the Gathering means that if anything touches your card whatsoever, no matter what it's typing, it will automatically be destroyed. So even if you have a 1/1, little squirrel, if you had a 20/20 god that did battle with that squirrel, the god loses.
That's funny.
That's what Death Touch does. So the Binding of the Old Gods is literally mortals getting the power to kill a god. The final thing is them getting Death Touch, which can kill anything, including gods in Magic the Gathering.
That's wild.
That's over the top. It kind of reminds me a little bit of it's a story in Saxo Grammaticus involving, and I forget who all the players are, but Thor is involved. But there's this giant battle involving gods and humans fighting each other. I think Baldur is in it as well, and he fights on the human side. But Baldur's a human in that narrative too.
That's stupid.
But like Saxo's stories are wild, dude. Like, I kind of love them though. But yeah,
He's a strange man that we don't hate.
Right. But yeah, I can't remember even the details about it. I just remember it happening in there and being like, what? This is not the stuff that's usually people put into saying this is Norse mythology. It's like just wildly different. But yeah, that's about the only place that I can imagine. Wolf, you got any ideas about what this might be referencing? Or
well, a couple people are saying right here, most gods have the indestructible trait, which negates the Death Touch. Is that a thing, Suris?
A lot of gods do in Magic, but the thing is that the typing of god does not protect you from Death Touch in any way, shape, or form.
Unless they have indestructible.
Yeah, only specifically having indestructible will protect you from that. But not all gods do. Like, if memory serves, Tybalt as Vasky does not have indestructible. So like you can have gods that don't have that.
Okay.
Hey, Pagan Pirate's having trouble sending a super chat, so I'm going to go ahead and read it for him.
Okay, go for it.
His message was, this and last year's Godzilla cards got him back into Magic.
Yeah, because the last set we had, or one of the last sets we had, was Ikoria, and the big thing with Ikoria is cards have what's called the mutate mechanic, where you stack them on top of each other and they gain all of the abilities of every card in the stack.
What the fuck?
The entire basis is basically build a bigger monster, and if you're building a bigger monster, you might as well have kaijus. So every card in that set, or most of the biggest cards in that set, there are alternate art versions of all the cards where their names are swapped to either a version of Godzilla or one of the other monsters and kaijus that exist within that franchise or exist in any of that mythos. So you can have the deck play normally, or you can trade out for the cards that are functionally identical but have the Godzilla names and play with a Godzilla deck.
That's hilarious. So we have two super chats and I have to read them both right now. Justin Somerville says, is this PG? No. And then the last one is for Crispy. Ocean Suris sitting in a tree. KISSISSIPPI. Suris, I think some people from your channel came over.
Mississippi. Mississippi.
Oh my god.
What in the world?
That was so funny.
Chat is like up to here with the snark, y'all. I don't know what you guys do to bring out this much snark, but y'all are just like clearly funnier than any of the YouTube creators, like straight up.
Penis. That's the extent of my humor.
All right. There is another card in here that let's see. Something Tree Bridge. So we got a double card here. And I'm going to open this up on my screen because I can't make it big enough on. But yeah, we have two cards here. That's Eska, God of the Tree, and the Prismatic Bridge, and there's some arrows between them.
So that card specifically has an ability where you can choose which side of the card you want to play it as. So if you play it as Prismatic Bridge, you are paying one of each mana type to play the Prismatic Bridge, which looks to be try to mimic the Bifrost. Then if you pay just green, you can have Esika, God of the Tree, who can create mana of any color, which would be used in creating the Prismatic Bridge. So imagine you've got a deck.
So she can build an enchantment and turn herself into the Prismatic Bridge.
She can. Well, she can. So because you can have 4 of any card in Magic the Gathering, what you would do is if you had 2 Essikas in your hand, you can play one to set things up so that you can play the other as the bridge.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's depending on which way you want to play it. That's a thing you can do. And what she does is she makes it to where all legendaries you have. So every single god would be a legendary. I can't think of a single god in Magic that doesn't have the legendary moniker. Legendary in Magic just means that you can only have one of that card on the board.
Okay.
You can have as many of it as you want in your deck.
So you can't have like a bunch of Prismatic Bridges out at the same time.
Correct. So you could play Esika out, and you could create one Esika, and you could create one bridge, but you could not.
You can't have 2 Esikas or 2 Prismatic Bridges.
No, you could not. One god, one bridge, and because all the gods in this set are also legendary creatures, she gives all the gods the ability to create the mana to create the bridge.
So what? I'm not sure what Eska is referencing, or I mean, I get the Prismatic Bridge. Prismatic Bridge is obviously the Bifrost, but Esika, God of the Tree, like. What do you think, Wolf? I'm drawing a blank here. There's Yorthr, but
I'm having fun with chat.
What's going on with chat? Tell me a story.
Godzilla versus Kong in the chat right now.
We already had that conversation on stream.
We're having a massive war right now in the chat.
Like countdown till Erica shows up.
Esika is based off of Idun, Norse goddess of apples.
Idun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Wait. Does she have something to do with apples or something? Does Esika?
Let's see here. I'm looking at.
Idun is basically the source of the god's immortality.
So it says she's based on Idun, Norse goddess whose apple and fruits provide the Aesir gods with immortality. So
in the card, ask the first woman.
So in the card, as opposed to giving the gods immortality, she's given the gods the ability to produce mana.
Okay. So she just, got it. Which makes you be able to play more gods and all that stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So,
and the Prismatic Bridge is obviously a reference to the Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge that reaches Midgard and Asgard, the Aesir. I'm reading I got curious, so I'm reading
what they say about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Eska also has a chariot that is referenced as the chariot of the goddess Freya.
Oh, that's cool.
Who is guided by cats.
Yes.
And being the god of the world tree, she has a relationship with Odin. Since the name of the world tree, Yggdrasil's name is Yggdrahorse, which is one of Odin's other names in here. That's what it is showing in this section here. So apparently
Odin has so many names, it's hard to keep track, honestly.
No, right?
Yeah, she is basically just smack dab in the middle of everything, giving the gods mana / immortality, summoning the Bifrost, having connections with multiple other gods, be it Freya, Odin.
They've put her in a very central place in the Magic the Gathering pantheon, so to speak.
Yes.
Like that's pretty neat. Why return to monkey when you can return to fish? What is going on in the chat?
Hey, look, you need to return to monkey. Can you swing on vine? No, monkey is superior. Return to monkey.
I'm gonna go to the super chat.
Return to monkey because we never left, but we should be advancing to crab.
Raven Drone says, "Happy birthday, Wolf." My pet Raven Sema also says, "Happy birthday."
Thank
Meek
you.
says, "Why return to monkey? We can return to fish." What is going on over there? Raven Drone says, "Godzilla is a robot." Well,
I mean,
Godzilla is, but
yeah,
it depends on which Godzilla.
Right, like. Okay.
Really looking forward to Mecha Godzilla on the big screen.
Who do you have your bets on, Godzilla or King Kong?
I always have to bet Godzilla.
You just have this giant ape just going, look, you need to understand. This is a nuclear dinosaur.
We'll see. What's going to happen is Mothra's going to fly in and somebody's going to mispronounce it and someone thinks they're saying Martha and then they both
Oh no!
And then Superman and Batman are going to come. And then the Snyder Cut is going to be released of it, and it's going to be 18 hours long, and everyone will love it unanimously.
Wolf.
Can I also just say that the Snyder
broke
Cut
Ocean.
the Snyder Cut of
I
Justice
broke
League
Ocean. I broke Ocean.
is great.
All
Also,
right,
Fishy Lawn Gnome
we're
has
getting.
just given you a $200 super chat.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing that. Chris B put up a £5 super chat that says crab with, with some dancing, and then fucking
Fish, what are you doing?
yeah, Fish is over here just like dropping dollars on us. What in the fuck?
Can I make you a?
Yeah, like no, we gotta like
You get
give
a
you a
roll.
hug or something. I don't know what's
in
happening
the
here.
server. Come see me after stream.
Yeah, that's no, like holy shit. But hashtag Team Kong don't at me chat. That
I'm adding. I'm
I
adding
could
you.
like we.
If I could get this kind of money on any of my streams, I wouldn't have to worry about bills this much.
Dome, we're gonna talk about Kong. I would. Raven Drone says that Scald song Odin names almost all of them. I think. Yeah. Okay. There is a point where there's just like a list of names that of Odin. And it's a ton. And there's a lot of theories behind that list of names as to whether or not it's like the name of other gods that kind of like amalgamated Odin over the course of time, or if it's nicknames that Odin achieved through different kennings and victories and stuff like that. Like you have Eric the Red, who becomes known as the Red through an event. Is that how
I got my name?
Right. In the Havamal, you see Odin get a name like that.
Yep.
That means evildoer because he breaks an oath. So, you know, there's a long list of names that are given to Odin that are probably from events. But yeah,
Odin earned many titles in World of Warcraft.
Let's see. We have on the screen another one, which is Furia, Judge of Valor. And I was actually looking into this, and there is a Valkyrie that has a similar name. Let's see. I'd have to go through my history.
Let's see.
I guess I'll find it, but go ahead and explain how the card works.
Give me just 1 second, making sure that I have this set up correctly. Okay, let me go ahead and pull that up. So the card is a 2/4, has flying and lifelink. It costs black and white. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, there's a lot of black and white cards that have this ability for when you cast your second spell in this set. When you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So basically, the second time you cast in Magic, a spell is any card. Any card is a spell. So the second card you cast in any turn at all will let you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and get a card. There's not a whole lot that's happening there lore-wise, aside from the fact that she is letting you gain stuff.
I love this art of her.
This is actually the one that I put in here is actually not her normal art.
Yeah. No, I found the other one.
Yeah, this is what's called a showcase. Showcases
Here's the one
started coming out in Magic, I believe about a year and a half ago. And what they are is every single set, most of the cards in the set have a regular variant and a showcase variant. The showcase variant has alternate artwork like this. And then the borders of the card are not the normal Magic borders. The borders of the card will be some type of artistic reference to the set. So if we look at the borders of this card, we've got the front of ships surrounding her frame.
Right.
We've got a little bit of the like wood carving work around her. The art the showcase art is supposed to look like this is something you would expect Nordically. Instead of having your normal aesthetic Magic the Gathering card, you have this.
Yeah, I found here's the normal one. And they put wings on her and all that stuff. The Valkyrie that I found that has a similar name is Hurya, which means devastator. But there's not very much written about her otherwise. So and it's just the reason why we have Devastator as her name is just what the name means. It's nothing. There's no story that is associated with that as to why that's the case. Raven Drone says that they're raiding more Mormons to catch up with that fish guy. I guess fish beats Raven in this scenario.
That's okay. Do you want to know what people have bidding wars over on my channel?
Let's hear it.
They asked me to fucking bark.
You bark?
Apparently.
Well, we have to copy that over here.
Yeah,
chat.
I need $5 for Suris to
Suris
bark
barking.
Right
Yeah.
It's either barking or meowing that is asked for.
Yeah.
Chess says hello in the chat.
Hey,
so.
Oh, you got that one for free.
Okay, yeah. So the next one we have is the Great Hall of Starnheim, which, oh shit. There we go. And I think this one's pretty obviously Asgard, right?
It seems to be that, but the thing is though is that its colors are black and white, but black and white seems to also be what the Valkyries have. So that would actually make a little more sense. It
could be Helheim with the black. Place of death and afterlife kind of thing. Is there more about what this is supposed to be? Is it an afterlife in the magic world or is it something else?
So
we just got $5 for Ocean Suris, whoever, to make a random animal noise.
Hold on.
I didn't hear that, Wolf.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't come in at all.
Well, that's stupid.
I think you hit the mute button.
Oh, that's sad. Well, you'll just have to pretend like I heard it.
Just have to. Okay. So Starnheim, let's see here. During the chaos instigated by the Planeswalker Tybalt, who we'll get to later because I have that one submitted as well. Starnheim was attacked by the Cosmos Skeptic Coma, who we also have in here. The Planeswalker Nico Aris joined the host of Valkyries in defense of their own. So this is definitely the Hall of the Valkyries. It says that Starnheim is Kaldheim's source of light, as the plane has no sun or moon. So that world has no sun or moon at all. Starnheim is literally the thing that gives this place life. Plant life does not exist without Starnheim. Throughout all the realms, the Hall of the Valkyries can be seen in the sky, similar to what happens to the sun on a cold day. The trinity of hanging in the sky is known as the Light of Starnheim, and denizens keep symbols and mystic glyphs that represent it. So this is not an afterlife. This is a physical
place,
location,
right,
that exists above the plane, and it functions as their sun.
That's really interesting.
Crazy. The lore behind this stuff is just
it's
wild.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me want to get into it, except I know I never will.
Well, there is Magic Arena. I've gotten it, and the reason why I didn't play it is because I couldn't control who I was playing. We couldn't play in groups or anything like that. Has that been changed, Suris?
That's been changed.
Excellent.
You can challenge people now.
Okay, cool. Because I'd love to get a group game going in Magic Arena or something like that. But yeah, we have some chats. Raven, I'm not reading that. Come on.
I'll answer it only halfway.
Let's see. Justin Somerville says, "Give me some Mormons." And Crystalline Crow says, $5. I would like for Suris to give Wolf a birthday awoo, please.
Wolf.
Suris to give Wolf a birthday awoo. Oh my god.
I have to make it disappointing.
No, I'm gonna save
It's
that
a-
forever. I'm gonna make that my text ringtone from now on.
Just
Do it again because I was talking over it then.
well, I already did it again.
What?
You missed it twice.
I missed it twice? What did I
Yep.
do?
Well, you brought me on, and that was your first mistake.
That was
Ooh.
mistake one. That is true. I fucked up royally by saying, "Hey, Suris, why don't you come on my channel?" So we have.
So there's actually a way that we could all do. We could build a Cubeheim, and that would be a thing we could do together at some point.
I'm down.
So in Magic play, there's this concept called the cube, where you can create it's usually about a 280 or 360 card set, and you put it in a box, and you and your friends draft out of that set, and then return the cards to the box whenever you're done. I could actually probably build a Cubeheim for fun, where it's just like we are fighting with Norse cards against each other specifically.
So we're about an hour into this, and we have about half the cards that we've gone over. So we have, I think we can do all of them. But we have on the screen now something called Halvar, the God of Battle, which I was poking around as to what that might reference. But go ahead and explain us so we're getting into gods now. What space do gods fit in the play? Because I'm seeing it's only a 4/4, which isn't as heavy hitter as a giant. So what's up?
So the thing with gods is they aren't going to be as big. They don't have to be. They can be, but they don't have to be as big as giants. They don't have to have the power. What they have is unique effects that alter the board substantially. They're also able to function as commanders, which giants generally can't. Commander is a secondary set of play in Magic the Gathering where you have a 99 card deck, and then you have a person at the head of your deck called a commander. Only legendary creatures and some planeswalkers can be commanders. But what this card is doing is any creature you control that is enchanted or equipped has double strike. And at the beginning of each combat step, you may attach any aura or equipment attached to a creature to a different creature, period. So what this guy is doing here, and he does have an equipment effect as well, but I didn't showcase that one here, so that's my bad. What he's doing is he is a god of battle. And as such, anybody who is equipped with a weapon or armor or or enchanted with power or what have you, he is letting them attack twice. Or double strike is technically that. It's first strike where it attacks before any other units, and then a regular hit. So if a 5 power creature attacks and Halvar is in play, they're dealing 10 damage to whatever they fight.
Oh, Jesus fuck. Okay.
He's a god of battle. He is literally going, hey, are you equipped for battle? Cool.
That could be referencing any number of Norse gods. Because
Raven says that Halvar is Tyr on anime.
It does kind of look like that, doesn't it? Except he has a hand. Actually, that's one way to tell whether or not there's a reference. Sometimes is looking for a missing body part.
Yep.
But we see two eyes. I don't see his ears.
Tyr.
He is based on Tyr.
He is based on Tyr.
It's interesting.
And his special ability, because like with I wish I had gotten the picture of the broadsword, but his broadsword that is featured there is an equipment you can give to somebody as well. And he has that. But like Tyr, in the trivia here it says like Tyr, he is honorable and reasonable, traits that are shared with Baldur, the god of light, which may be secondary inspiration since he was killed with a sword rather than mistletoe in Gesta Danorum. Now I'm mispronouncing all of these things because this
Gesta
is not my
Danorum.
realm.
You actually that's
that
that's Saxo Grammaticus's book.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's called it means history of the Danes.
So the history here says when the god Alrun was on his quest to fight every cosmos monster, he discovered an orphaned baby in a giant eagle's nest on Axengard. Alrun adopted the baby as his son and named him Halvar, but he was too preoccupied with his quest to take the boy back to the god's realm at the time. He left the boy as a ward of the Dwarf King for 20 years until he remembered to come back and retrieve him as promised.
That was how I was discovered.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, Wolf was what a wolf pup raised by dwarf kings. Yep. And then he was given a human suit.
I regularly tell people in the Discord that I'm just a wolf that killed a hiker and stole his phone and has been using a bark to text app for the last few years.
Sounds like a rough time.
Yeah.
Hey.
Chris B says, "Can we
you're
all
gonna
take a
make me
moment to give Tyr a
furious.
hand?"
Oh my gosh.
So,
Awful.
yep,
You're
all of
awful
you are
people.
terrible. Chat, you're a bunch of degenerates, and I hate you, and I love you. So we have another card. The deity that I was thinking that Halvar might be referencing was hold on a second. Vithar. I want to make sure I was pronouncing that correctly. Which is a god of vengeance that is like one of the later deities post Ragnarok kind of idea. But he wound up getting a lot of Christianized art around him. So there's not very much like, I think he's the slayer of Finr, but there's not a lot of information on him other than that. But he's considered a god of vengeance as a result.
Attack big doggo.
Right. The Pupper of Doom.
Who's the next one you're looking at?
We're looking at Coma, the Cosmo Serpent. Tell me about this thing. Did I put up the wrong art? I think I put up the wrong art.
Unfortunately, I actually lost to this thing in draft literally 3 hours ago.
Oh, really?
So,
what is this monster?
So what this thing is this is a serpent. It cannot be countered at all. So if you're playing a blue wizard deck and you try to stop this thing from coming out, you cannot stop the serpent from coming out. You can only deal with it once it's out. At the beginning of each upkeep, so at the beginning of your turn and your opponent's turn, you create a smaller serpent, a 3/3 blue serpent creature named Coma's Coil. So you're creating different coils of this serpent. And why that matters.
And they're all separate creatures.
They're all separate entities.
Oh, no.
But why this matters is if you try to destroy the serpent, you can sacrifice a serpent, and that you can do two things. You can sacrifice
you can use all the coils to block, basically.
Well, you can use the coils to block, but it's more interesting than that.
Okay.
Coma, you can tap you can sack a serpent to tap any permanent an opponent controls. So you can basically use one of those serpents
to sacrifice
it to restrict a card.
Oh, man.
Or if you can make Coma gain indestructible, so you can then use those not just physically block like as a mechanic in Magic normally is, but you can sack these serpents to make him indestructible till the end of the turn. Period.
So you can counter that
not
death
able
touch
to do
shit
to him. This is if you're familiar with draft, in draft, you have a very limited pool of cards because you build your deck out of booster packs and you build it out of 3. So you've got a very, very limited, yeah, of what you're doing.
Is that including land?
No, land is separate. You get land for draft tournaments. In fact, Ocean, at some point post-pandemic, we should do draft for fun.
Sounds good.
It's fun. But anyway, so what happens is a card like Coma is stupidly overpowered in draft because you don't have resources to deal with an indestructible 6/6 serpent that can create little copies of itself. And it's just like, is that just Jormungandr?
Jormungandr. Yes, it has to be inspired by Jormungandr.
It is. In the trivia section here, it does say that it is inspired by Jormungandr. The Coma association with the World Tree may have inspiration in Nidhogr. I believe that's right. A dragon serpent that gnaws on the roots of Yggdrasil.
Nidhogg.
That's it.
Yep.
The history of the card is most of the Cosmos monsters are free to enter any realm, but when the Skodi overthrew the Einar gods, they also prohibited the Cosmos Serpent they revered from entering any of those realms. So this thing literally could just destroy a world, but it's barred from doing so, and that's I can see.
Yeah,
why.
that would be an interesting. I can see that that's a combination between Nidhogg and Jormungandr. That's a deadly combination within Norse mythology, because the Nidhogg is the death dragon, basically. Like it's the end of all things in dragon form, kind of.
Oh, this makes sense actually. His lore shows that he is the first and oldest of all Cosmos monsters. His true size is unknown because he can divide himself into multiple smaller segments that all move independently around the world tree. All elves in Kaldheim share a reverence for Coma, and many wear clothing that reflects that reverence. However, none of them want him to enter the realm.
Look at chat right now.
Oh yeah, they're going crazy.
Snacks. No steppy. So
No step on snack.
do not step on Chaos Serpent. In Soviet Russia, chaos, the snakes step on you.
It's true. It's true.
I fucked the delivery of that, but anyway, so there is I think in Job, a story of God fighting the Leviathan before creation. So the idea that Snek predates even God works even within some understandings of the Old Testament. That this was a thing that was just around that God had to kind of like deal with.
Are you sure that that's just not an allegory for God masturbating? He was dealing with the serpent.
Wolf, what you got?
I'm as broken as you are from that.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. All right. So...
I'm glad I could break everyone.
And there's still snacks all over the chat. We even got a super chat snack from Howard Ramberg over here. And Akita Hakubi says, wouldn't Beafeld also need a bark to text app? God, there's snakes everywhere.
There are snakes everywhere.
Why are heathens so much wealthier than agnostics? Be right back, converting so I can afford 20 Digimon cards.
No. What?
Raven Drone says, Coma, you should wake up. Dang, you should wake Jormungandr up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with all the snacks going
Our
on.
chat has gotten away with us.
That's funny.
Chat, y'all are just out of control. I don't know what's going on here. So yeah, I love this card. I think this card is great. But we have another one. We have one that I'm interested in, looking at the name. I thought this one was cool as fuck. Moriat of the Frost. Or Morit of the Frost. I don't know. Help me. How do I say that?
Let me get it.
Is there a pronunciation guide in Magic the Gathering?
Here's how we pronunciate cards. Hold on. It does look like Moriat of the Frost, though I could be very wrong. These cards are fun to play with. They're changelings.
This looks like... Yeah. No, okay. I was looking at that last night, and I was like, this is actually really fucking cool, right? Because let me blab about Norse mythos for a second, and then you can talk about the card. But in the construct of the soul, the heathen construct of the soul, one of the parts of the soul is the hammer, and that is the skin, basically. Or sometimes it's referred to as the body, but other times it's the skin. And to the skin, the shape-shifting thing was adopting a new skin, changing a hammer or adopting a new hammer to interact more. So Freya, for example, had a falcon hammer in her abode that was stolen by Loki at one point. And that's in the story with Adun, actually. But the hammer change and shape-shifting is fairly common among deity stories, heavily associated with Odin. Odin would do hammer shifting a lot. And there is a couple of heroes in the sagas that do it, although I can't recall them to mind, but I think it does pop up that, and then a hammer is adopted, and it's in the more mythological or legendary sagas, that kind of stuff happens. Boldvar Bjarki is one that does this, as well as Bjorn, the werebear in the video, that it's a hammer shift, except Bjorn is not in control of that hammer shift taking place there.
This artwork is blowing my mind.
I love it, don't you?
I'm a little entranced.
Yeah.
So
tell us about this thing.
So I also just threw the artwork for the card when it's not in showcase format into the chat as well, so you can see the standard version of it as well if you'd like. Oh,
hold on, you have the other one? All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, which I honestly prefer the showcase artwork like 1,000 times over. But
wait, the artwork that you just sent me is the one that's on screen.
I was asking like why.
Yeah, there's another one.
Really? Hold on.
Yeah, send me the showcase, because what I have is the. Maybe
Looks
I
like
picked the other one.
Wait, I did send you.
No,
the
you did
showcase.
send me the showcase one.
Yeah.
And I got this one. So the reason why I did that is because the one that you sent me is really pixelated.
Fair enough.
Do you have a better one?
I could grab one real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and grab one real quick, and then I'll put that up there too.
Here,
because it does look really cool. But I really love this artwork, but I don't have a preference between them, honestly. I like the style of the showcase, but
so can we veer off a little bit?
Yeah, do it.
It's gonna just a little bit, but this is an important question. Zane Firo asked the question, and then Raven Drone saw that question and shot $5 at us to make sure that we saw it, and asks, "Are there any gay Norse gods?" And in chat, people have already spoken up with what I was going to answer with, is that we have several Norse deities that gender shift in different ways. Loki even has relations with animals, but not in like a weird negative way. It's weird. But Odin
usually as an animal himself.
He shifts into an animal, not as a human god. It's a whole thing. But with Odin gender shifts to
practice
learn women's magic, the Sether, which is magic that only women were supposed to be able to learn. He became a she completely, not just dressed up in women's clothes and tried to trick them. He actually fully became a woman to be able to practice the arts, and then went back to being male.
Is accused of unmanliness as a result of that by Loki. And then you have some so that you like talking about that subject there's a whole thing within Norse culture too, is because it was looked down upon. There's a word for it as well. But it's an insult. And it's explored more in the sagas as well. But there was a whole conversation about in the Assassin's Creed thing about whether or not there were gay Vikings and all that kind of stuff. It's like, there were, obviously.
It had to have been. Like, humanity has had homosexuality throughout its entire history. To say otherwise would be just ridiculous.
Get this off my Christian Minecraft server.
I know, right?
Right. We also have the problem of a lot of our sagas and legends are recorded by Christians as well.
Right.
So I think that if there were more explicit descriptions of gay gods in the mythos, it wasn't preserved by the Christian record keepers as much as we would want, like we see that a bit in the Greek pantheon, but not as much in the Norse pantheon. And I think it has to do with who's writing more than it has to do with the mythology itself.
Right.
Go
ahead, Suris.
I was going to say, I also threw 3 different screenshots from 3 different sources for the showcase version of this card, and I'm hoping that one of them is good enough.
I'm going with the most recent one you sent.
Okay.
Yeah, that worked.
Philip says there were definitely gay and trans Vikings. They existed everywhere at the time. So this conversation popped up in the hold the other day that I think is worth repeating, and I'm not going to repeat it as beautifully as it was put before, but that trans people, like people say like, oh, it's such a new thing. It's like, no, they've existed in history. It's just we didn't have the words for it, and they were being actively suppressed throughout history. So you're not going to find evidence for it like you should.
Look into the execution of Harold Finehair's son, if you want to get curious about.
I'm familiar.
So Harold Finehair's son practiced Sether, and was there were questions about his gender. There's a lot of discussions about that.
I do know what you're talking about.
And he was executed for it.
Right.
And this was at the this was right around the Viking Age too. So there's like it gets into this kind of weird conversation about how they view gender and what exactly, it's a huge conversation, but you did have people that were like to say that it didn't exist is ridiculous because it did. And this is one major example of it among royalty that was written about.
Right. This comes up a lot, and I have to repeat this several times. As Reconstructionists, we're reconstructing the religion, not the culture, because the culture
did have these problems.
Yeah, it did have problems. But that said, even with Christians trying to kind of rewrite the history just a little bit, or more than a little bit, it's very clear that the Viking culture was a little bit more progressive than Viking bros like to think of them as.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get Viking bros who are anti-trans, anti-gay, you know, super have to be hyper masculine and stuff like that. We talked about it on the last Omnipotent Beard. But yeah, so let's get back on track. I just wanted to address that point.
No, it's
talk about it.
It's definitely worth addressing because it's something that's brought up a lot, and the controversy came up heavily with the Assassin's Creed thing,
right?
And it was like there's nothing untoward happening here, but when you do, if you're going to look at the history though, you should know it's like at the time homosexuality was looked down upon, and what they would probably consider something that's akin to trans identity was looked down upon as well in the culture, right? But that doesn't, in Reconstruction, when you're pulling from that culture, when you're like reconstructing the religion, you don't have to take that kind of stuff with you. It's not inherent to the religion.
Yeah.
Just like thraldom isn't, right?
Right. You study the culture so you get the full picture of the religion, but you don't have to adopt the culture completely to be able to practice the religion completely.
Right. So like Greek, like Hellenists, most of them, I guess, any of them that understand history are going to acknowledge, there were problems with how the Greeks handled themselves. They're an ancient culture, and their image of morality was not the same as ours. It was very different, and we don't have to resurrect that image of morality in order to practice Hellenism. Same with heathenry.
There's a term we use for this in a lot of sociology conversations, and it's understandable but not acceptable.
Right. I can see that.
It's, you know, we get that this is a thing that happened in the past and this is how things functioned. It is completely understandable that is how they functioned and why. Is it acceptable? No.
Right. Anyway, that's like a big complicated history discussion that
Get your history out of my Magic the Gathering.
Right, exactly. It's like, what are you doing? Putting your politics around. Half of the Magic cards are gay. We're just going to say that. So
at least.
Gotta say, there's a non-binary character in this set.
Smart.
Did you send that one?
Yeah, send that one. I want to take a look at it.
Let me see.
If you have it.
Go ahead and throw it to us.
Give me just a second. I will find...
Do we know the name of the son that was executed for being transgender? It's like it's Ragsvald or something along those lines.
That sounds right.
And there is a description of him and a discussion about that in Daniel McCoy's Viking Spirit. If you want to track that one down, and he cites sources and everything like that. If you want to find dig further into that.
So I just showed the card of Nico Eris, or the artwork for Nico Eris. I'm going to find the card
go ahead and
itself.
Find the card, but I guess while we're poking around on that, we do have this. I put up the art for the other card that you wanted for Moria.
I've got the card now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just drop it over to me, and then we can talk about Moria of the Frost.
Dropped it right in. Yep, the new plane. Yep, some people in the chat already know it's the new Planeswalker.
Cool.
Technically, actually, they're from Pharaohs. They're from the Greek mythology set, but they planeswalked into the Norse mythology.
That's so funny.
That's great. We'll do that one after we finish up with Moria. So Moria of the Frost.
Yeah, now that I've got the I've sent the artwork and everything over. So Moriat is in the history of this set. They're an enigma. Not a lot is known about them. Mm-hmm. They're a shapeshifter from a place called Lijdara. She was born a glade walker. While many grown-up shapeshifters leave to explore the realms, she wanted more knowledge. So to reach that end, she took the form of a young cove walker and lived among that species so that she could absorb all of their knowledge before vanishing into the mists. So this is a changeling that will adopt the culture of wherever they are so that they can absorb all of the knowledge of that culture, everything that they know, everything that they've learned, because that's what she loves. She doesn't want to go and like cause mischief and shit. She wants to learn shit. However, there's not a lot of references there's not a lot of references outside the fact that she's just a unique changeling within the mythos.
So, it matches a little bit of what I was talking about earlier with Odin being a shapeshifter and seeking knowledge and that kind of stuff, and challenging themselves. And, but yeah, like shapeshifting and magic. And I think that there looks like there's some Sether references going on here with this character, that are interesting. Is there, what kind of, you were saying something about their magical association beyond shapeshifting?
So a lot of shapeshifters within magic lore tend to either be very aloof or tend to be very mischievous. They use their shapeshifting to fuck with people.
Right.
Either for like ill ends or for mischief or what have you. What's unique about Moriet compared to a lot of other changelings and shapeshifters in magic lore is that she doesn't do any of that. She has no interest in that. Her interest is solely academic. Okay. And she uses her shapeshifting powers to be academic. I mean, imagine if an alien came to the United States as xenophobic as we are, she would basically go, okay, I'm going to take the form of the most country bumpkin human possible, the most unassuming person, so that I can just camp out in the public library
and learn.
That's what she does.
Right. Okay. This character is really neat.
Hey, just for Nick Smith watching the video, clearly he is. Change your profile picture to a white flag for me, please.
Ah!
Wow.
Welcome to
Continue.
Oh my God.
I'll repeat here what I said in there. Oh no, there's a cliff. Please don't.
It would be awful.
So moving on to the card that we were talking about there a second ago. This is Nico Aris, and let me cut out the spearhead here for a second, just so that we can get a better look at the card. I didn't think to do this until just now. So Nico Aris, this is the NB person in the yes. lore that you were talking about, right? So I guess let's go ahead and go into that.
So we'll do like we've done with everything. We'll do mechanics first.
Yeah.
When they enter the battlefield, create X shard tokens up to any So first of all, this is the first planeswalker we've shown. Mm-hmm. Planeswalkers mechanically in Magic the Gathering operate as a pseudo player. Originally in Magic, the lore was that you yourself took on the role of the planeswalker. Okay. Now it's planeswalkers exist. There's a very brief, tiny history lesson. There's a set called Time Spiral. In fact, actually, we just got a recent set that re-releases Time Spiral. But during the events of Time Spiral, planeswalkers were nigh unto gods originally. During Time Spiral, most of them had to sacrifice that power to prevent reality from being completely and totally destroyed. There's a whole scene in one of the books where Teferi goes up against Nicol Bolas, who's like one of the strongest, oldest dragon gods in Magic mythos, and he's just this little black wizard who just goes, "All right, square up, Nicol. We got to sacrifice our powers." And he of course he gets his ass kicked. But it's a funny thing to think about. I actually believe I still have copies of those books if you ever want to borrow them. But anyway, after that, planeswalkers fundamentally changed. They became almost pseudo mortals, not as opposed to pseudo gods. So they have a lot of power. They are overwhelmingly strong, but they are not the godlike entities that they used to be. A lot of this came to a head in a set called War of the Spark, where a lot of the planeswalkers had to come together to fight again Nicol Bolas, because he fucks up every realm, because that's what he does. Anyway, so In the game, a planeswalker has loyalty count, a loyalty amount. So this starts out with 3. That's its health. Unlike other Magic cards that have toughness that regenerates at the end of every turn, planeswalkers operate like the player. They have health. When you hit them, the damage sticks. It's gone. If you add health to it, up to any one target creature you control can't be blocked that turn. And if that creature deals damage, return it to your hand. So it makes the card cannot be blocked. The card cannot be fucked with by your opponent's field. And also the card retreats to your hand to safety afterwards. You can cut 1 loyalty counter away from him to deal 2 damage to any target on the field. For each card you've drawn this turn, one of the points that Nico has is they are blue. And blue is the color of draw power in Magic the Gathering. And the last thing they can do is cut a loyalty counter off of it to create a shard token. The shard has sacrificed this enchantment, scry 1, then draw a card. So scry, like with the card we showed before, lets you look at the top card of your deck, see if you want to keep it and throw it away. If not,
this card does a lot of things.
Yeah,
all planeswalkers do this. All planeswalkers have 2 to 3 abilities.
And you can only have 1 planeswalker in the deck, or is that
you can have as many planeswalkers as you want.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So
but
it's just hard to play though,
but-
right?
right, because of how much it takes.
Here's the other issue with planeswalkers. I mentioned that they're pseudo players. That was deliberate. So in Magic the Gathering, when you attack, you don't attack a target, you attack your opponent.
Mhm.
And then they choose to block with any number of creatures they have on the board, unless you have a planeswalker. Planeswalkers can be targeted for attacks.
Oh, okay.
They are pseudo players. They can be targeted by your creature's attacks. So they are not, as opposed to a creature, when you drop it on the board, it's safe from everything except like sorceries and very specific effects. Planeswalkers are not safe. Planeswalkers have to be defended. They are powerful, but when they come out, if you do not do your damnedest to keep them alive, you lose them. So this card specifically, during the events of Theros, an ancient goddess of destiny, returned from the underworld on a mission to reweave fate and enforce it by ensuring that people would obey their prescribed future. Oh boy, a Calvinist. The most notable agent she had was Calix, whose goal was to prevent Elspeth from leaving the underworld. However, many others were sent after various individuals. Nico was one such target. Nico's defiance of fate. Oh, cool. So just a standard Protestant. Neat. Was Nico's defiance of fate and losing that contest had them set too far off of the desired path. But during this confrontation, Nico's spark ignited and they left the plane. So there's another thing about planeswalkers I should probably point out. Planeswalkers all begin as mortals, and then randomly a spark ignites in them and they become energy, and their bodies become manifestations of that energy.
I am become energy.
Basically. And so it tends to happen where like a regular mortal with some measure of magical ability and magic lore gets themselves in a situation that they can't manage. They're about to die, and then suddenly their spark ignites, and they get planeswalker powers. So they are Magic's versions of superheroes.
Okay.
The reason they're called planeswalkers is they have the ability to walk between planes. So the reason that Nicol Bolas features so prominently in so many stories in Magic the Gathering is he is a planeswalker. He can be in multiple worlds. That's a function of what they can do. Nico began as a mortal in the Greek mythology set and then escaped to survive, basically a cleansing, and landed in Kaldheim.
Right.
So Nico's first planeswalk took them to Kaldheim on the realm of Bredegard. We had the card earlier, the Battle for Bredegard, where they joined a band of Kana led by Flynn the Snake Hunter. And I'm not going to go too far more into the lore where that's concerned, but basically they were literally a Greek Greek citizen who planeswalked into Nordic country and said, "I don't want to die."
So is this? I guess this character isn't referencing like anything out of Nordic lore necessarily. It's just like
I'm going to go ahead and say what it is. This is an isekai character.
Isekai. What? Help.
Okay, so in anime, an isekai is it's called another world. So any anime where you have a person from, say, our world that finds themselves in a magical fantasy world where they've either got powers or they don't or what have you, and they have to adapt to this new world that all these different rules exist in. That's an isekai anime. Nico is literally an isekai protagonist. He found himself in another world and he's like, oh shit, Nordic myth, neat.
Might as well. Let's see. Let's go through some of these super chats. Let's see. I see a lot of Sneck super chats. And then we have, hey, glad I found y'all. Funny enough, right after I watched some Wisdom of Odin vids, I saw Ocean's vid on him. Happy birthday, Wolf. Yeah, that video keeps going around, doesn't it? I'm still getting comments on that thing. Agnostic Pagan Mum says, when Odin shifts, is he always one-eyed? You know, that'd be funny.
Yeah, like if Odin shifts into, it's the female form.
Is he one-eyed woman?
Is it a one-eyed woman?
He's usually depicted as an old man with one eye in sagas. So it could be true that when he shapeshifts, he still doesn't have an eye.
So
right.
Wait, well, it would make sense considering that he sacrificed the eye willingly.
Right.
But so I'm just imagining this moment where like Odin shapeshifts into a woman and goes into a bar, sits down across from a random person, offers to buy them a drink. The guy looks up and just goes, I know that's fucking you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And funny thing is that I know that's you reactions comes up sometimes in the sagas where it's like, I see you, Odin.
Yeah, I often. And that's why you always have to be careful. You never know when it's Odin. Also, thank you for the happy birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that in the chats. I want some wolf emojis in the chat as a happy birthday to Wolf. Let's bury the chat in wolf emojis, please.
Oh.
Let's see. And then we got another card coming in. I'm going to go to this one.
I don't know what this one is, Ocean.
I'm not going to tell you. You're just going to have to guess and then tell us about the card. So what does this card do?
Okay, cool. I'm going to guess it's Ascent of the Worthy?
No.
Okay, cool. I was trying to go off the ones we haven't gone over yet.
We have Raider's Carve.
Raider's Carve. Okay, so this one's probably very self-explanatory. This is a Viking ship, but it makes sense that it is because this is a.
Whoa!
Oh my God, they're furries. Look at
there's
all
a few
of you.
calcifers in there.
I see that.
They're all furries. So Raider's Carve is an artifact vehicle. Whenever it attacks, you can look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it into battlefield tapped. And it has crew 3. Now, mechanically, what this card does is, as a vehicle, it cannot do anything. You have to tap creatures that have power equal to its crew amount to power the vehicle, and then the vehicle can move. If the vehicle... It should make sense what's happening here, but I'll explain it for fun, because it's actually kind of funny. So, whenever it attacks, you look at the top card of your library, and if it's a land, you can put it in the battlefield tapped. So, it's literally a boat that has to be crewed by Vikings, and when it attacks, it lands.
Wait.
The boat is literally docking. It's a pun.
This is why we can't have nice things.
No.
Even the Magic the Gathering cards have dad jokes.
Oh my God.
It's got to be crewed by at least 3 Vikings.
I mean, this one's so getting into the references, right? This one's obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's a fucking Viking ship. I don't know. I don't think it goes further than that, though.
No, not really.
It's just a boat that happens to be a Viking boat. Like it'd be neat, I guess, if it could go through. Like, there's not very much like travel limitations in Magic the Gathering, I guess. So, but the thing that was really neat about longboats is that they were boats that could travel across seas and go up rivers without changing boats. So their mobility is incredible. And that was one of the things that at that point in time was incredibly frustrating for like the British when they were dealing with the Vikings. It's like, but they can just land wherever there's water. Fuck you. Let's see.
Can you throw the Viking ship like in a totally accurate battle simulator?
Can you throw it?
That's funny.
Please.
Do you guys know what totally accurate battle simulator is?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually have this. I've seen numerous battle simulators. I haven't seen. Oh no, I have. This is the one that's got actually a bunch of gods in it, right? Where they can do all sorts of they have like some weird. I saw an Odin versus all the other gods.
Yeah.
Thing, and it just showed. Like Odin apparently fucking trounces in that game. Let's see. Prismatic Bridge. Let's take out this card. This is called the Trickster God's Heist, which also has some really amazing artwork on it because it's one of those Saga cards.
Yeah.
So tell us about this one.
Let me go ahead and grab this real quick. So Trickster God's Heist. Obviously, this is showing Tybalt. Tybalt is the Loki of Kaldheim. Or Valky. He's Valky in Kaldheim, but he's secretly Tybalt because Trickster. So the first thing is you may exchange control of 2 target creatures. So the first thing that happens is you can literally take something from your side of the field, something from your opponent's side of the field, and just swap them. Like you're literally playing Trickster with the board. The second thing is you can exchange control of 2 non-basic, non-creature permanents that share a card type. So like if you've got a weapon on your board and your opponent has a weapon on their board, you can switch control of those weapons. Like, here, have this little dagger that I had on my board and I'll take your giant gun. Thank you. It was a fair trade. And then the last thing is target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That one's kind of boring. But it's just, you can think of it as at that point, Tybalt is finally doing damage to somebody now that he's fucked with them enough. Like he's messed with them for 2 turns. Now he's going to actually just stab them. But this is, well, Trickster God Tybalt, who is Loki doing shit. Fucking
Yeah.
Loki.
We have Valky and Tybalt. I'll put that card up next just so that we have that. And then I guess we'll be, we have like 2 or 3 cards left. But I'm going to enlarge this artwork because I fucking love it. Like, that's just cool.
So let me see if I can actually pull up the Trickster God's Heist.
What is it? What is the heist? Like, what is being heisted?
So,
is this a reference to the Odin story, or?
Likely it's a reference to a specific thing happening within the lore of
Magic the
this
Gathering
game.
right?
But let's go ahead and check here. History of, well, we'll have to get into Valky / Tybalt specifically for this.
Let's go ahead and bring up that card then, and we can talk about it in context.
Yeah. Let's see here. It says Valky once deceived Toralf, causing the god of fury to magically transport the Hall of Gods from the realm of gods to Istfell, the realm of spirits. The hall is still in Istfell today. Valky has always enjoyed pranks, but had typically been more annoying than cruel. At one point in time, though, something changed, and Valky's pranks became mean-spirited and destructive. The other gods didn't know how to keep him under control. What the gods didn't know was that the real Valky had been imprisoned on Karfell and impersonated by the planeswalker Tybalt to wreak havoc on Kaldheim. Tybalt deceived Valky and bound him in magical chains in the dungeons of King Narfy's palace.
Okay.
Tybalt wanted to learn about the world tree for some nefarious purpose and assumed Valky's identity to do so. Oh, so this is referencing
like 100 things right now.
Yeah, this is like how Nico was a planeswalker who got yeeted to this realm randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Tybalt is a planeswalker that came here, saw the world tree, said, "This is really powerful. I'm going to steal its secrets. How am I going to do that? Oh, there's already a trickster god here. What if I just overpowered them, absconded them away somewhere, took their identity, and then used their identity to screw with people so that I could steal these secrets from the world tree?"
So there's a lot of stories that this seems to be referencing. Like there's the Binding of Loki, and the Binding of
When I saw the tree
Fenrir.
card earlier, I thought of the Binding of Loki.
The tree card.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
we
one
talked
where it's the binding of the old gods.
Yeah, the Binding of the Old Gods. I pictured Loki as the one in the tree.
Right.
But it seems that within this story specifically, an outside force not part of the lore is the one that binds this world's Loki.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
In the Binding of Loki in Norse mythos involves after Loki comes in and insults everybody in Aegir's Hall, or Aegir holds a big party, and then in come all the gods show up except for Thor, and then Loki comes in and insults everybody, like just takes turns insulting the gods, and then he leaves, and as Thor comes in, there's an exchange between Thor and Loki, and then they chase him down, tie him up, and he is given the there's a story about him being the cause of earthquakes. After that, then he is bound, and then you have the image of his wife Sigyn holding up the bowl over his head to stop the drip of venom from a snake that is placed there. That is placed there by Skadi in revenge for the insults that she received from Loki. And while Sigyn has to empty the bowl and then put it back, the venom continues dripping onto Loki, which causes him to struggle, which is the source of earthquakes. Now, there's a few things in there that aren't being referenced. The trickery in the binding seems to reference the binding of Fenrir. Fenrir is the end, the pupper that is the end of the world. And
he just wants a handout.
He just wants head pats. He is tricked into being bound by Tyr and some of the other gods that are saying, I bet you can't get out of this binding. I bet you can't get out of this binding. And then eventually they get something that's woven by the dwarves. And then they come back and say, bet you can't get out of this, can you? And turns out, no, he can't. And then he gets mad about it and bites off Tyr's hand. Because Tyr puts his hand hostage in Fenrir's mouth as the binding is taking place, because that's the one that works. Fenrir's like really skeptical, and he's like, I'll do it if I can have some reassurance. And Tyr's like, I'll put my hand in your mouth. And then Fenrir is, once he can't get out, is like, okay, chomp.
That's how I assured Ocean that I was a good friend.
Yeah.
He put his blank in his mouth.
Yeah, we're not going to say what. It wasn't his hand, but
I mean, for me, it was a chicken tender.
that's true. You put your meat in my... Anyway, so Valky, I guess we have the other part of this, which is Tybalt, right? And Tybalt is the thing that is from outside of this. I was looking at Tybalt and I was like, this doesn't seem to reference anything.
And that's because, like with Nico, Tybalt is an outside instigator. He is not part of this world's lore.
Right.
He has appropriated this world's lore so that he can steal some power from it. He has unironically engaged in cultural appropriation.
All right. We have another one, which is the World Tree. Whatever could this represent?
Pikachu!
Oh my God.
Fuck!
All right. Tell us how this card is used.
Damn it.
Okay, so World Tree enters the battlefield tapped. It
That was
is
a top
land...
tier meme reference, by the way.
Yeah, right?
So one of the biggest things in Magic, one of the most ubiquitous things, is that lands that are better than your standard, like run-of-the-mill regular lands, always come into play tapped, generally speaking. This one comes into play tapped, and it can act as a forest. You can use it as a standard forest if you want to. But if you control 6 or more lands, any land you control has tap, add 1 mana of any color. So the World Tree makes it to where all of your land can act as any color it wants to. And it does this because it's a final ability. Pay 10 mana and it has to be 2 of every color specifically, sacrifice the world tree, search your library for any number of god cards, and put them all into the battlefield. If the world tree goes down, every god comes.
Because they're all just like pissed. Like, it's over. Fuck you. You killed the tree.
A snake has gnawed at the tree too much. We're all going to come and kill it now. All of us.
So the thing that I find kind of interesting about this is that it does change the context of what the world tree is. In the world tree, with the Norse mythos, the world tree is what's holding up all the realms.
Yeah, it's supporting them.
So if the tree fell, reality itself would come apart.
Which is what is theorized happens in Ragnarok.
Right. I don't know if that's the tree falling, but
the tree gets burned. That's the whole point. Is that the flaming sword is thrust into the tree and the tree turns to ashes.
So it'd be the end of everything.
Yeah. But it's really not, though, because after Ragnarok is over, then something with Baldur having
I think that's
weird.
That's a Christianization. I think
super weird.
I thought that the sword just destroyed Asgard. Off the top of my head, I wasn't sure if it destroys the tree itself.
I know for a fact the flaming sword is thrust into the bark of the tree.
Okay. So I'll be going to be rereading that and being like, what the fuck?
Do it. If I'm wrong, I'll take it back.
Okay,
but that's the way I read it.
And if I'm wrong, I'll take it back. But
this card actually ties into the lore of one of the other gods we talked about, Essika.
Yes.
So the world tree, there is the way the world tree works in Kaldheim is its branches go up and they form the base of every single realm in Kaldheim. There are 10 realms in Kaldheim. The branches look different to each realm, though. However, all of the realms are all lit. We actually talked about the light source of all the realms. It's not the sun. So it makes sense that this is not like a planet that has a regular cosmos around it. It is a giant flat plane on top of a tree, literally, for Kaldheim. It makes sense that it would have a stationary
They're making it like very literalist interpretation. Like you'll see some maps of Midgard where Midgard is depicted as a disc around.
Yeah.
It's in the tree.
So there's
and that the world serpent actually surrounds the edges of it.
So there's a substance that comes from the tree called tearite. So again, another reference to tear. This is sap from the tree. Tearite looks like aura-like lights in the cosmos that are given solid form. So it's almost like the sap from this tree is stars. The gods can handle tearite safely, but direct contact with it to any mortal is incredibly dangerous. Essika, who we talked about earlier, makes a cosmos elixir from tearite that slows the Scodi's aging and maintains their powers. She literally harvests sap from the world tree to give immortality to the gods. Because of the elixir, her skin and other aspects of their appearance show the influence of the aura light specifically. So this is another reference to her like being the fruit bearer, giving immortality to the gods. The way that she does this mechanically in here is by harvesting sap from the world tree within the lore.
So there's some conversations in the chat going on about Ragnarok right now.
That's the card Yugi beat Merrick with in Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City. And I'm actually not kidding.
I know, that's why I'm laughing. I remember that episode.
Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, Ragnarok summons it destroys all limitations on your board, and it summons every single creature
you're so fast
card.
with that shit. Like, god damn.
And the voice, it all threw me. I did not expect any of that. And you awakened like this deep childhood memory of mine.
But yeah, the conversation about Ragnarok, I'm definitely going to look into this because, all right, let's talk. We could talk briefly about Ragnarok. Ragnarok is so Christian influenced that I don't like. I've said before in some other channels, it's like Ragnarok. I just don't care about it as much.
I hate 90% of that myth. There are a couple of useful aspects of that myth
Yeah.
that I enjoy, and it's where I get a lot. It's where I get a lot of my things about hell being a goddess good, actually. So
Right. There's
stuff like that.
yeah, like because Hel is cast as the villain in Ragnarok, and so there's like and Hel's own come or something like that, and it doesn't like the Prose Edda edition of it and the in the Voluspa, like there are some like weirdness about it, and it's very very Christian influenced. So it does seem like it's based on a lot of things that did show up in Norse myth, but it's like several Norse myths that got kind of like conglomerated into this thing. Like, is there a myth of Thor fighting Jormungandr? Likely as its own thing. But yeah, anywho, back to the world tree. It does seem to be filling a very similar but still different place in the
Like
Kaldheim.
it,
I wanted to say
exact-
Valheim for some reason, but
Oh my god!
It also looks like the world tree. The act of sacrificing the world tree is the closest thing to a reference to Ragnarok this set has too.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because there's not actually a card in this set that I can see that directly references Ragnarok in any way, shape, or form.
It's weird, like how popular Ragnarok is for people to talk about, but when you really get into the mythology of like when you get into Norse studies, basically, like Ragnarok. It doesn't, especially when you get into heathenry, like the religion itself. Ragnarok doesn't really affect very much.
That's why it looks like they may have done their research really well when building this set.
Yeah,
because instead of making a card like you'd think with an event with that kind of history,
but they have a game mechanic that kind of references it, which is really cool.
Yeah, like they just have a passing reference to it in game mechanic, but they don't have anything outside of that. You would think there would be a saga with all the different saga cards that exist in here.
Right, there would be something like that. Right.
Yeah, you'd think there would be a saga card in here that covers that, but I can't think of a saga that does. In fact, actually, looking at all the sagas right now, and none of these sagas seem to reference Ragnarok. There's the forging of the Tyrite sword, showdown with the Scalds, battle for Bredegard, battle of Frost and Fire, Trickster God's heist. Yeah, there's not a single thing in here about that.
That's so I want to jump into the last card that we have, which is the one that I used for the thumbnail. And this thing is cool as fuck looking. This is Narfy the Betrayer King.
So,
tell me about this thing.
So,
this
like
thing
I mentioned,
just looks neat.
When we were talking about Battle for Bredegard, I mentioned that the undead in this set are represented by blue and black.
Mm-hmm.
So the way this card works is actually one of the few snow cards we have here that I pulled up. Other snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1, and then if you pay 3 snow lands, you can return Narfy from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you just pay 3 so long as they're snow lands, and
right.
it just comes to the battlefield repeatedly. So if we were to go and look at the history of this card, let me go ahead and pull up.
You suddenly got really quiet, Suris.
Is it better now?
A little bit.
Suris leaned away.
Should be perfectly fine right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. So generations ago, Narfy was the king of Karfel. Narfy's father had signed a pact with the elves and was rewarded with a magical longship that could bring any number of people between the realms. Narfy used that to ferry an island to new realms and raid them at will. And it looks like he maintains an army of raiders known as the Dead Marn. And without going into a shit ton and more else, the last thing that references stuff we already talked about, Narfy made a deal with Tybalt in exchange for the king keeping the god Valky in his dungeon. He and his Dreadmarm would have access to the best treasures in the other realms when the Doomscar returns. So Narfy, specifically within the lore of this realm, he is responsible, along with Tybalt, for putting this realm's version of Loki in a dungeon and keeping him there.
God, that is so wildly different. But it's cool as fuck though. Like, yeah. Go ahead,
And
keep going though. Yeah.
The version of the Betrayer King that I have in here is a very skeletal version of him.
Mm-hmm.
Looks a lot like the Skeleton King from Diablo 3, actually.
It does.
But
like I was thinking that is that he kind of.
I just posted
It also
the
reminds
pictures.
me of
similar.
the Lich King from World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
No, I did find this. Okay, yeah. There's another art of him. I much prefer the showcase art.
I prefer the skeleton way more. But
I'm
here
gonna put
is
this on the screen just briefly because it looks neat. He's still holding the skull. But yeah. But no, this is cool.
he is. So this is. It makes sense that the only quote mortal who would be able to help bind a god would be one that is practically undying, and that's what he is. And as a king, he gives a boon to anybody who is snow based, anybody who is undead based around him. They get a boon, and that makes sense in his lore because he's literally a pilferer. He goes and he steals wealth, and his mechanic is distributing that wealth to all of your other units.
To each according to need.
No, he's not the king of communism.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just wondering, like, because it seems like he's taking he's providing according to his ability and giving according to need.
No, he's definitely pilfering, and then just he's actually Ronald Reagan. This is trickle down economics.
Oh my god.
Why is he the worst president?
Let's see here. But besides being a war hawk and besides completely fucking over taxes for people for years now.
Are you talking about Narfy or are you talking about Reagan?
Yes. The only difference between Narfy and Reagan is that Narfy's a war hawk on the sea.
All right.
Narfy looks cooler.
No, Narfy does look fucking cool though. I dig this card a lot. Like I want to play Magic right now and have a zombie army and just go to fucking town on somebody. This looks cool.
Do it.
Pull stuff from graveyard to the battlefield tapped. A return. He can revive himself.
Yeah. Like I said, the only type of mortal card that could fuck with a god is one that could just recur himself repeatedly.
No, yeah, he doesn't have a limitation on that, does he?
No.
You just keep fucking coming back.
He will always come back. And you know what the best part is? Do you know how much it would cost? You know how much it would cost you to own a new crisp copy of this card? 9 United States pennies.
Really?
He is cheap. I just looked him up on TCG Player to see how much it would cost to own him. Yeah, he is very inexpensive.
Zombie Commander is super busted if done right, says Gainer in the chat over here. Let's read some super chats before. Oh, go ahead.
He could actually, it would be useless to have him as a commander, but he actually could be a commander. He is a legendary creature. He could be a commander, but he's useless as a commander.
Okay.
Because
you might as well have a different one as a commander, I guess.
It's because his ability revives him from the grave, and the special thing about commanders is they don't go to the grave.
All right, so I'm gonna go through. Daniel Jackson was a planeswalker? Question mark. I don't know what that.
Wait, Ocean.
Yeah.
I have a thing to show you before we hop out. Hold on.
Let me get through super chats then.
Yeah.
Raven Drone says it did $5 for the wolf emoji. And then Calcifer rubs furry self on Nick. So chat, y'all responded to this troll we had pretty fucking beautifully. I was seeing rainbows going everywhere. Like, holy fuck. Raven Drone, this rainbow is to piss off Nick. I will find you, Nick. Twilord says, why is there a reference to Dragon Quest and Xenoblade in the Norse deck, and why does it sound like the world server Yggdrasil from Digimon? Yggdrasil it originates in Digimon. Yeah, that's...
Yep, Digimon is older than life.
Yeah.
It's true.
Fishy Lawn Gnome for the super chatting $100 again. Dude, I'm gonna feel like I owe you. I do owe you. What the hell? One last go because happy birthday, Wolf. With the wolf
Thank
emoji
you
at
so
the end.
much, Fishy.
That
I
is-
really appreciate it.
Yeah. Shout out to Fishy Lawn Gnome over
Great
here.
birthday gift. I can't thank you enough. And I want you to get in touch with me later and we're going to figure something out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Suris, what did you want to pick up with?
Just check the chat. I just found out this card exists.
Uh-oh.
It is King Narfy's Betrayal. There's a Saga card that actually showcases him conspiring with Tybalt to fuck over Vasky. You can actually see it on the armor.
Whoa!
If you see the armor on the right breastplate,
Ah.
you have him conspiring with Tybalt, and on the left breastplate you have him betraying Vasky.
Wow.
So that's neat.
Yeah, I just found when I was looking up King Narfy on TCG Player, I found that and I was like, oh shit, that's a
on
thing.
This breastplate. That's badass. I dig it.
Like that's one of the things that I really like about the Saga cards is that they do a really good job of showing the story as that culture would have understood that story.
That's pretty cool. Like I love the art references in this. Like it's just freaking neat.
Well, some of this stuff is actually like just pictures. The way that they did the Saga cards, they actually had somebody hand carve a lot of this stuff and then just take a photograph of it and use that for the card.
Right. That's cool. This is some neat stuff. All right.
Valheim's a cool set.
I'm going to go
Sirs,
back to
thank you for coming on
Yeah.
and like just sharing all of this stuff. Like you came extra prepared and I really appreciate it.
It's just over the top prepared. It was beautiful.
I know I'm like on the stream, but I was really enjoying listening to it. I was like, man, this is a really good show. Oh wait,
I'm on it. All right. Holy shit.
Like, I don't know. Like I said, card games are my thing, and one of my favorite things in card games is when the designers of those games are not just trying to make like a mechanical thing to sell; they're also trying to craft a story. Like one of my favorite things with Magic, the thing that actually got me into Magic heavily when I was a kid, is the fact that I could go to Barnes and Nobles and I could find books about Magic the Gathering. Any set that I had been playing, I could just buy a book and just sit there and read the story of what was going on and then get the cards that represented the characters I was reading about. It was phenomenal.
And then design your deck off of your favorite narrative elements and all of that kind of stuff.
You could design a story deck that way.
Akita Hakubi just donated $5. Trickle down Necronomics.
So good. So good. That was
Oh
so
my
good.
God. No puns. No puns allowed from here on out. Well, I think it's about time to wind down the stream. Suris, thanks again for coming on, man. Let's kind of go through and plug. Suris, what you got coming up, man?
So I don't have any major projects coming up right now, as I just finished one. I've been doing live streams on my channel mostly over the last few months, but I started doing edited content again because people have been requesting me to at least get some of that out. So my edited content tomorrow, a PragerU response video is coming out for those who love PragerU.
My favorite university.
I started doing the edited videos again because if there's one thing that I can't do very well off the cuff on a live stream, it's research, because that cuts into the time that I'm trying to do the video. And if I'm having to edit myself in post afterwards, why the fuck am I doing this in a live stream? Right. Why am I not just doing this as a regular video? So that's
why I try to do edited videos myself as much as possible, because like if I'm just saying things about Norse studies off the cuff and I'm not double checking myself and all that stuff, I'll get stuff wrong.
Well, that's why like the conversion therapy video that I just did recently is one of my edited videos, because I went, no, if I'm going to tackle this subject, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to get the history right.
Mhm.
And oh my God, why did Sigmund Freud's daughter try to out conversion therapy her dad? What? That's apparently a thing I found.
It's insane.
Anywho, the other thing that is happening over on my channel, it's actually happening over on my Twitch channel here in about a couple days. I am going to be doing another 24-hour live stream. I was originally going to wait until my main channel had hit 40,000 subs to do it as a bit of a celebration. But then we had the storms come through a couple days ago, and one of them touched down tornadoes in Noonan and basically destroyed the entire downtown there.
I have several friends who lost their houses.
So I'm actually trying to get. I've sent a message to the Facebook page for the city of Noonan, and I'm trying to get in contact with charities in that area to see which places can functionally use monetary donations specifically, because I know that they're overwhelmed with food and clothing donations in a lot of places right now.
Right.
So I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream, hopefully getting as many guests on as possible during that. And we're going to try to drum up donations to give to one of those local charities once I can identify which one we're going to be going with.
Let us know. We'll jump on.
Yeah, let us know, because I definitely want to come on, because I literally have close friends that lost their homes.
Right.
Okay. Then I will go ahead
and
keep
mods. Let's get
Suris's
channel and Suris's Twitch in the chat.
Yes.
And you guys watching, go ahead and subscribe to Suris, because Suris is constantly putting out content and does a lot of live streams.
Quality content. Top tier.
And he's all over like political commentary and all that. So if you're interested in that, definitely go subscribe to Suris, and his Twitch is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that's going on right now. In lieu of me taking the time to sit down and do another edited video for my next big project on the channel, I'm going to do this 24-hour live stream. I'm going to try to drum up as much as we can to try to help that area, because as much as the thing that they're asking for mostly is people to come out with chainsaws and fix everything physically, I lived through Hurricane Ivan. I know what that's like. I did that when I was growing up. I am more useful as a content creator with a platform as opposed to a single individual out there with a tool.
Right.
So I'm going to see what I can do where that is concerned.
Wolf, what you got going on?
So I've been going through my Halvar videos. So those of you who only sub to Ocean and you don't check out my channel, please check out my channel and watch my awesome takes on the Halvar.
You've been going through it verse by verse, right? Like
verse by verse. So I put up several translations. I do all 6 translations that are like the popular ones, including the Old
Cowboy.
Norse itself.
Yeah.
And but the best one is definitely the Cowboy. I talk in a very heavy Southern accent. But I make sure that I show all the verses so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then I give you my interpretation of the verses, and I expand on them. And
so you mean you don't just shoot from the hip, like
try not to.
Another person on this platform who all of us have talked about.
Oh my God!
Try not to. Try not to just make shit up.
I
also real quick to finish up. I've been picking up live streams more. There are a couple live videos on my channel. The other day I ran into someone who was kind of down on their luck, and they were giving a street performance, which actually was extremely beautiful. And all of us who found that randomly really enjoyed that performance. So with that, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell for when I go live, because sometimes I do it randomly while I'm out riding on my motorcycle. I don't plan to go live most of the times. I just do it.
Just do it, yeah.
Yeah. But also
you started a Twitch too.
Yeah, I just started a Twitch channel so that I can be able to stream the rituals that I do, because we've realized now that we're hitting digital capacity in Discord. I can't just share my video in Discord anymore. The server will only allow 50 people. We've got a level 3 server, and the highest number you can stream live is 50 people. We've tried every workaround we could. So instead, I'm going to start streaming to Twitch so that everybody can watch and share it out to their friends and whatnot. And then I will still be making it into a full YouTube video, because I usually add context and whatnot. and then you can go back and rewatch it as often as you want to.
Sweetness. And yeah, like the holding rituals and stuff in the Discord server has been awesome, and it's the turnout for it has been amazing. But yeah, it's a good problem to have, to be like, well, we got to figure out how to get everybody the video because we have technological limitations now.
It's my favorite project that I do. Like, I love the Havamal. I love putting out educational content and whatnot. I love deep diving specific subjects and helping people with those ideas. But I really, really love having rituals for people who I know otherwise would never experience one. And
I guess let's close ourselves out. I think that the thing that I want to close out with is, guys, just let's end the chat with a lot of rainbow love for our most dedicated troll ever, who kept recreating accounts to come back, and lots of rainbows just to show him our appreciation.
Yeah, just remember that Black Lives Matter, and there were people of color who were Vikings. So
yeah, so yeah, rainbows everywhere, and we'll have ourselves a good time and find a way or make one.
Go big or go home.
I love when they have participation trophies.